Hello there, everybody. It is, of course, the great and glorious, soon-to-be famous one day Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. Hi there. How the heck's it going? Another one of those situations has arisen when I have received a variety of comment which I can then comment upon so that you can better understand where I'm coming from and so on and so forth. And this one here says, I want to research the research on paranormal and occult phenomena myself. How would you suggest I go about this? Well, you can start off by researching the research. Try and find as many scientific papers as you can. And that's where things start to get a bit difficult, because sometimes you can look into these things and you can realize that they're not necessarily quite as scientific as you might think, despite the fact they were done in proper scientific laboratories. So, there's always more questions to be asked. Have a look at the work of Dean Radin, D-E-A-N, R-A-D-I-N, and I think he's from the Department of Noetic Sciences in Princeton University, so you can check out his stuff. Plenty of his stuff on YouTube. Start there. Okay, the comment then goes on. What book should I start with to get a good overall view of parapsychology? The books I always recommend to everybody who's starting looking into occultism, in particular, would be The Projection of the Astral Body by Sylvan Muldoon and Harewood Carrington, all the spiritual healing writings of Barbara Ann Brennan, and the Chaos Magic writings of Phil Hine, and Peter J. Carroll, spelled with two L's. That's what I would recommend for occultism. But to get a good overall view of parapsychology, I think it'll be worthwhile looking at more university level books on the subject of parapsychology. Try and do a lot more library searches. Literally go to your local lending library and see if you can do some searches there, and try and do interlibrary loans of relevant books. Okay? How do I know what's good scientific research? Well, the only way you can know that is to learn what it means to be a scientist. And that means possibly even doing some academics into science. Okay? I started to understand some of scientific methodology through being in school and paying attention to science class. The rest of it I got through my studies of sociology and psychology, whereby we had a look at social and psychological research methodology, which was really important, and also behavioral science research methodology as well, which was all part of the same thing really, and sort of and looked at different ways in which scientific research is done. I would go onto Wikipedia and look up science, what the word science means. Type in scientific methodology. Type in scientific research. Type in positivistic. Type in anti-positivistic. I would type in experimental design. And I would try and expand your understanding of those terms as much as you can. That will probably give you a good basic level of understanding, but that would still only be a basic level. You still need to expand upon your growth, your knowledge there. Then it then says, what books or writers do you suggest I start with? Well, I don't think that there are some you should start with. I'm not here to be your university teacher. Okay, I can recommend a few sources, but I can't recommend too many. I would just recommend you start researching, because if you're doing research for yourself, you're doing research for yourself by yourself. And as a result of that, you got to start researching, full stop. And realize that some of the information that you're going to read or you're going to pick up could in fact be bloody useless. It could be incorrect, it could be misrepresentations, it could be written by someone who's just trying to make you follow their religion, rather than someone who's trying to open you up to new possibilities. The comment goes on. A lot of research has been done in Russia at the time of the Soviet Union. Is this trustable research? Well, yes and no. Strange things seem to have happened during those particular studies, but have all of those studies come under proper scientific methodology? I don't think that they're necessarily quite as strict as we were here in the Western world. There was one study that was done on the healing of mice, and there was not the full checks and balances. There was not the right sample size. You need to have a large sample size if you're going to do a test which is based upon statistical data. Okay, so I don't necessarily think that the conclusions of the Russian research is 100% trustworthy. There are still more questions to be asked, but some strange things have happened. Rather like the stuff, the personal experiences which you search for when you're an experimental occultist. Strange things happen, but it just opens up more and more questions. It doesn't provide you with more and more answers, unless of course you're a mental case, a daddy, or intellectually flawed in some particular manner, and don't understand the basics of rational scientific thought. Or you just want to be a religious wacko. Are there any other guys on YouTube like you who talk about this stuff the way that you do? No, I am one of a kind. I am unique, special, and different. Seriously. There are some people on YouTube who are great transcendentalists, but I have not yet come across someone who is as much of a transcendental deist as myself. Remember, I use the term transcendental deism or transdeism to describe what I do and not what I believe theologically. Because what I believe theologically is my fucking affair, not anybody else's. Okay? And it's what I do which is important. Namely, the search for the strange experiences, because those say something about us, because we're human beings and we can have these strange experiences. But what they mean, I don't think we'll ever properly know. Okay? Strange experiences can happen, but we can't always say what these strange experiences suggest. And what they actually mean is not necessarily what they suggest.